Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 9x90. Today, we have a very, very special guest with us. He is a celebrity pastry chef, dessert designer, genius. I don't know, what do you call yourself? But Minister Tashkovich, who is an absolutely amazing person who came on the show earlier this season, said, you have to try this gentleman's cookies. We met at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, tried them. They're absolutely incredible. He's like, by the way, he's famous for his creations. You have to have him on your show and let everyone know he exists. So today I have with me Daniel, Colonel, like the Army. For those of you who do not know Daniel, he is a Culinary Institute of America graduate who trained under the legendary sugar flour artist Betty Van Nostrand and honed his craft with iconic cake designers like Madison Lee's Cakes, Nine Cakes, Charlotte Nouvelle, and Ron Ben Israel. With over a decade of experience in pastry arts, Daniel has launched his own brand, about time, for show-stopping wedding cakes and gourmet cookies, including a cult favorite cookie line that took off during the pandemic, and it now delights clients nationwide. His cookies were also the party favor at a recent event, a recent birthday party for a past minister of finance for an entire country. That tells you the level he's operating at. It's like wild, right? So his work has been featured in Vogue, Good Morning America, the Today Show, Financial Times, The Knot, Brides, and even on Cake Wars. Oh my God, you were on Cake Wars?
I was, yes. As a very, very young. I was probably after like 3 years, I graduated college. But yes, I was on an episode of Cake Wars. Yeah, little baby, very green. But yeah.
Yeah, that's so fun. That's so fun. So you made your first bakery appearance around the age of 4.
No, I started working in a bakery at 15, but I wanted to be a pastry chef since I was like in kindergarten.
Okay. My son is 3 and he insists on cooking his own eggs and hot dogs.
Right.
So I'm just like envisioning you at the age of 4, like coming in while your mom's baking something and you were like, hey mom, I got this.
Yeah, no, actually my mom, it took my mom a long time for me to actually like bake by myself at home. I just kept saying like, can I bake? And you know, growing up, my favorite puzzle was like this kitchen puzzle, and I was always obsessed with food and playing with it and whatever. And then finally, I think I was in like 5th or 6th grade. My mom finally gave in and was like, okay, I'm going to print out recipes, like pick one that you like. I'll make sure we have the ingredients. I'll leave the kitchen and then you can do your thing. So my very first thing I made on my own was a cherry clafoutis, which is a very classic French dessert. It's essentially like a pancake with cherries in it, just if you will, in simplest terms. But yeah, I'll never forget that. So I'm not sure if it came out good or not, or if it came out correctly. But that was the first thing I baked by myself. So
yeah. Fun. And she left you in the kitchen alone. That's wow. So you must have been a very mature fifth grader for her to trust you with that.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. She was like, just call me if the kitchen's on fire, and but so I never called her until it was done. So yeah.
That's always a good
sign. Yeah, but then I started working in a bakery at age 15, and my parents would drive me at like 4 a.m. To the bakery, because bakery means early hours, obviously. So I would go twice a week in the summer. My shift was from like 5 to 2:30 or something like that. And I think the first thing I made there was key lime pie filling. That was like my main job. Key lime pie filling. Yeah.
This was in New York City?
No, this was in Jersey. So I grew up in central New Jersey, like very small town. So it was a very, very small town bakery. It was actually a not-for-profit bakery. All the proceeds went to this halfway house for women. So a lot of my coworkers were also women from this halfway house. So thinking back, I was like, wow, we worked with like knives and, all these like sharp objects, and we have these like crazy ladies, and definitely worked with a lot of colorful people, but really, really cool, and definitely very eye-opening to the food industry. But it took me to the Culinary Institute of America, where I got my bachelor's in baking and pastry, and then just worked in New York City since.
Okay, this makes so much more sense now because I was reading through everything about you and I was like, this guy is he's hyper vigilant, has very high emotional intelligence. He's doing a lot of these desserts that are tied to people emotionally and like in the most emotionally like high and charged events. What's the story here? And so, okay, so now I understand like the behind the scenes of this. So okay, you were working with women who were needed someone who was emotionally sensitive and tuned and aware, and you're making key lime filling as you're in this emotionally charged environment. That's wild.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yes. Yeah, I remember I was also in theater in high school, and this was like whenever people ask like, oh, like what was like working in the bakery, I always just say this story. It doesn't have much to do with baking, to be honest, but I was very, very friendly with this one lady. Her name was Peggy, and we were doing Grease this year, and I played Eugene, guy with glasses, obviously.
Love the glasses.
And I was like, "Oh, you should come to my show. Like, it's so good. Like, I would love for you to come." So I got her a ticket. She's like, "Oh, Danny, that sounds great. I can't wait to go." So got her a ticket. The show came and went. She wasn't there. I was like looking for her, never came. And then a week goes by and she wasn't there in the bakery either. And again, I'm still a student, so I only worked like a couple days a week, and then for like child labor laws or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think a week goes by, isn't there at the bakery, and I finally say like, "What happened to Peggy? Where is she?" Like, she was supposed to come to my show, never came, and they were like, "Oh, she was arrested. She killed someone." So, yeah. So I mean, it was a good reason for missing my show, but it was definitely a little bit of a shock. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I love how things like this, like that adult you very fast, like they happen if you grow up in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, like the tri-state area. And I try to explain this to people. Like I've lived in 5 countries, traveled through a total of 50, and I try to explain like what it's like growing up right outside New York City to people, and they just can't fathom it. But I think that story very succinctly illustrates what it is like to grow up in the New York City bubble.
Yeah.
Like, she killed someone. Oh,
yeah.
I love
Just like so casually, like it was like nothing. I'm like, okay, wow. And I remember in culinary school, we always worked with partners in the pastry program, and my first partner happened to be a guy in my class that was particularly hard to work with. I remember like no one really wanted to work with him. He was very intense, so passionate, a little intense, and everyone would come up to me like, "God, you're so patient." Like I would jump off a bridge if I had to work with him. Like, how do you do it? Like for like 15 weeks, like it's like our like longest class. And I'm like, honestly, like after working at the bakery in Jersey, I feel like I can work with anybody. Like it really teaches you how to just work with anybody. And I think I do have a lot of patience with people. It's definitely one of my strong suits, but yeah, I think it's an important skill to have. So very grateful for that job. Yeah.
I have some friends like that. They're like, they're very high performers, but they're like borderline insane how intense they are. And
Right.
people are like, how do you handle them? And I'm like, oh, well, I just learned from a young age, if someone has extreme emotions, you give them space for your own safety. And then once they process those emotions, you come back. And then you get back to work. And it's just like, that's normal. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, funny. Oh, wild. Okay. So you've worked alongside legendary cake designers. Do you want to just walk us through, like, okay, we've been through the eccentric cake designers. Now let's go to the legendary ones on the other side.
Okay, so when I was at culinary school, this woman named Betty Van Nostrand, she was a Hall of Fame sugar artist. She taught sugar flowers to all of the big heavy hitters in New York, Ron Ben Israel, Cake Boss.
Okay, so you knew like this is it. Like
she's like, yes,
she's like if she adopted you, you're gonna be Gladiator.
Yes, like she is the sugar. Like she taught, my chef at CIA as well, and so she Sylvia Weinstock, she taught, like she's taught so many people,
She's a
legendary cake designers. Sorry?
she's like a kingmaker, like a kingmaker.
Yeah, one can say, yeah. So it was so cool. I really, really wanted to take a sugar flour class with her. And I was interning for Ron Ben Israel. That was my externship. And I really wanted to learn sugar flours and at least like touch gum paste before going to Ron, because we didn't do cakes until after externship. So I wanted to have like a little bit of experience. And I just remember the sugar flour class, it really was like the first time where I felt good at something, like kind of from the jump. I think pastry is all about specialization. You know, you could be a bread baker, a patissiere, restaurants, candies, chocolates, whatever. So cake was always this thing I wanted to do for, you know, since a young age. And creating sugar flours, it was kind of the first like niche thing that I was like, oh, wow, like I'm actually pretty good at this. Whereas other things kind of took me a little bit more, or, you know, I just wasn't as strong as the other classmates were. So that felt really good.
I mean, everyone has their own strengths. So you could make something like this with sugar.
Yes. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. No, it's fun and very relaxing, very tedious, but yeah, I enjoy it. It's really, there's so many steps to it, but it's just worth it, you know, once you kind of create something and put on, you know, get to see it and people get to go around it like, ooh, ah, and then it's like, it's edible. And like, that's always really cool to explain to people. And, you know, they last forever, which is really cool as well. So, you know, people will save their top tier, obviously, or people will save parts of their wedding cake, and the sugar flowers, you know, they last forever as long as you keep it room temp, dry area. So.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. My father's a commercial architect by trade. And he always says that if he could do anything in another life, he would be either a chef or a pastry chef, because
very cool.
He doesn't have to wait years for people to appreciate his designs, and he could see them enjoy it in real time.
That's true. But the one thing with pastry is, you know, people eat it and then it's gone. I don't know, you know, whereas houses, like they have a little longer of a shelf life, you know.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, he does large scale buildings, not necessarily houses, but like hospitals, hotels, car dealerships, things like that. But yeah, it's so maybe there's something. Yeah. So you guys both have your pros and cons too.
Yes.
The longevity side. What motivated you to launch your own brand? Like, was it your cult-like following that was just like, you have to, we want your cookies, and not at that place?
I think, you know, I've been working in the industry you know, from college to the pandemic. Obviously gets laid off, you know, because no one's getting married. But even before that, I was kind of.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, kind of a big event, in the world. And obviously, you know, events is like one of, you know,
it's your bread and butter.
A huge industry. I mean, that is like totally taken away, and that is what I do. Like I make, you know, I was working for 9 Cakes at the time. We were making cakes for events, like people gathering and whatnot. So, but even before that, I was kind of looking to like, you know, like, okay, like I've been here for a little while. What is my next step? Like, what else can I do? Because I didn't really feel ready, I guess, emotionally to go out on my own. But I feel like everyone always says, like, you're never going to feel ready. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
So then the pandemic, you know, obviously started doing my own stuff. Took a break from cake because obviously no one's really having cakes. And then I started doing cookies, and people really, really loved them. I just did chocolate chip, like out of my parents' kitchen in New Jersey, and, you know, was like up all night, all morning, like just baking cookies in their small oven, like, you know, 100 cookies, whatever. Did a few like cookie drops during the pandemic, and then it kind of made me think. I was like, you know, maybe I should like follow this as well. You know, I love doing cakes, but there's not always going to be events, so this can be kind of a supplementary income with pastry baking. So,
but your flavors are so unique, like unique. Like Gleecore brought the Capri cookie, and I was like, there are 19 different flavors that just like blend into this. Like sometimes you eat something and you're like, it tastes one dimensional. And then sometimes you eat something and you're like, this has 19 dimensions to it. And I think I just jumped into like another like world. And when I tried the Capri cookie, it was like, this guy is a genius. Like, I don't even know what's in here. I just know it's magic. It was like, how did you come up with these?
Yeah. So with wedding cakes, obviously it's all about the couple, right? It's telling their story, from flavor to design. I take a lot of pride in creating custom flavors and making sure that it tastes good. I think wedding cakes have gotten such a bad reputation. It's like this dry vanilla thing, whatever. So with cookies, it was kind of my chance to be like, okay, well, maybe I can share a little bit of my soul for my past experiences. So the first flavor I made was a Blockbuster cookie based on my favorite movie time snack, which is I get popcorn, I get a Coke, and I get Bunch of Crunch, and I pour the Bunch of Crunch in popcorn. And I was like, I think I can make a cookie out of this. And like, this could be something. So after like a dozen test rounds, I finally figured out how to get a popcorn flavor into the cookie, adding a crunch. And it really has that like slightly artificial, like movie popcorn taste, but like a little, like also a little fancy. It was so, yeah, like just like very, because like movie popcorn, it could be a little like artificial tasting, but I kind of wanted a little bit of that in there. So but also just like the volume turned up, like of a fancy version of that, if that makes sense.
Yes. So I did try the Blockbuster cookie, and Gligor was like, what do you think? And it was like, I think after a day of extremely stressful meetings, this is the cookie I would go for. Like, if I just need to sugar coma immediately, I would just, So,
and so I just I wanted to make flavors that were nostalgic and kind of based on life experiences or based on the emotion behind the flavor. So the Capri cookie, I studied abroad in southern Italy during school. So, in Sorrento, you see. Sorry.
Parla Italiano.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. I lived in Italy for 3 years, so I was like, oh.
Oh, jealous. Yeah, I mean, I took Italian in school, but unfortunately, the Colonel family does not have a good ear for language. It really just like, goes in one ear and out the other. I did a lot of this in Italy, and it got me far. I mean, just talking with my hands. So,
so you made the Capri cookie based on going to Capri.
Yes, or like just like that region. I mean, like I was like, to be honest, I think it was really based on like Sorrento, but Capri just rolled off the tongue better.
Yeah.
And it's right there. It's like southern Italy, like whatever. But I was in Capri as well. But anyway, so just seeing all of, like the lemon trees and like trying marzipan in Italy. Like I've always hated marzipan in the US, but trying that was like so life changing.
Oh my God!
The pistachios there. Basil, just like really, just really green, fresh, like super summery. And I was like, oh, this just tastes like summer vacation to me, just like all the, like I candy, the various nuts in like lemon zest and some basil. I add in like basil sugar, lemon sugar. And then sometimes I'll glaze it with like lemon sugar or like lemon glaze on top. And just, you have like the crunch, the nuttiness, the sweet, the tart, nice and chewy. Yeah, just and also I find it very important that all of my desserts, not every flavor is going to be a 10, so the flavor profile is like lemon, pistachio, almond, basil, but like, the basil, it's going to be like, a level 3, whereas almond maybe a level 10, you know what I mean? But you still get those flavors, but I find it very important not to have every single flavor like punch you in the face, because then it's just like
too much
overwhelming. You want it to kind of like melt in your mouth a little bit and kind of like let the flavors kind of like dance on your taste buds a little bit, and then
which is exactly what it did. I think it's very interesting how you've turned cookies into this sensational, emotional experience.
Yes, I'm a very emotional person, so a lot of things really move me. I cry really easily, so I love when food can do that as well. I've cried at a few food experiences of how delicious it is and just how like it moves me.
Yeah.
So I want to create that with cookies as well. So yeah, another one of my favorites. Love Christmas more than anything. It's my favorite holiday, and I make a Christmas cookie. It's a lot going on, so be ready. It's cranberry orange white chocolate, candied pecans, which I candy in warm spices, rosemary. There's fresh ginger, and that's all enrobed in a brown butter cookie dough, and then I top it with more candied pecans. So
Oh my
super,
God.
super aromatic. You have all the aromas and flavors of Christmas. And when I made this cookie, I said, I was like, I just wanted to taste like a warm hug, like just like a warm hug on Christmas, which I know sounds very
Yeah.
corny. But I remember giving it to friends because obviously you have to have people taste it, and just totally like did not prep anybody to just all I said was like, try this cookie. I think it's like a holiday cookie. Or I don't even know if I said that. I was like, just try this cookie I'm working on. And I'll never forget, my one friend said, wow, it literally tastes like a warm hug on Christmas. And I did not even tell him to say that, but it was just like such a cool feeling. And I just love when people like get what I'm trying to do. I think there are so many like, and excuse my language, but very shitty cookie places out there.
Oh my God, I know.
I will not name names, but
Oh, you don't have to. We're all thinking about it.
yeah, we're all aware. It baffles me. It baffles me, the long lines at some of these cookie places in New York City. And there's so many like great mom and pop bakeries that have like actual good cookies, but then you see certain places and all the cookies taste the same. Like it's just the same. It's the same cookie dough. It tastes like sugar. There's no salts. There's no brown sugar. Like it's just like the flavor is
Not
sugar.
a dynamic flavor.
Yeah, like the flavor is sweet. Like that's it. And it just really bothers me. And I want to get my cookies in front of more people's faces. And I was still on the Butterfield for a little bit, but then the cake started picking back up. So then I had to take a break. But I have been, hustling and working multiple jobs for many, many years. And then I finally quit my full-time job last year. So then, which finally, like officially, I guess you can say, launched my brand of doing cakes and cookies. And yeah, in that year, as you said, have been featured in,
Everything.
Vogue and Good Morning America with my cookies for the Oscars, and making cakes for Anna Wintour, the Financial Times. A cake of one of my cakes was in the Financial Times, which I thought was very cool. I love London, so it's kind of kind of cool. Brides to not, whatever. So I feel like it's
can we include pictures of those on your page on 9x90 so people can see them?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you listening, you're going to have to go to his 9x90 page to see these works of art, and then we'll link to his Instagram from there, right? To Instagram or to your website?
Yeah. Instagram website doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Instagram's probably a little more up to date.
Visually. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I told myself, I turned 32 this past May, and I was like, my goal is to be in Vogue. I want to be in Vogue. It is a publication that everyone reads. It's like the most. It's just it's Vogue. You know what I mean? So,
when Vogue Italia came out with their 50th issue, their Vogue of 50 years, I didn't have children yet. And I bought several copies because I was like, this is a historical moment that each of my children will want. Like, so you're preaching to the choir when you're like, Vogue is the place to be. Like,
it's a big deal. Yeah. And I was like, I want to be in Vogue. Like, it's about time. Like, there's other, I work so hard. Like, I deserve it. And I never say that about myself. Like, I've always.
No. I can tell you, this is just incredible. Like, for having lived in Italy, then come back to the US, there are very few people in the US that understand the Italian approach to food, where when you bite into something, it's supposed to take over your senses, give you this full body immersive experience, and transport you to another dimension. And you do that with your food, and you take into account the emotions of the people that are eating it, and you're like, where do I want to transport them with this bite? And so few people do that. And it's just, it's not baking. It's a full immersive art experience.
Thank you.
And you nailed it.
Thank you. That's very, very sweet. Thank
It's
you.
yeah, everything you've done, you deserve. It's just absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, and I think for so long I never really believed in that. I was like, oh, I don't deserve anything. Like I just have to work hard and it'll, you know, and I hope it'll happen. But I think when you say like, no, like I deserve this, I think that's when it really starts coming. And I know
yeah.
that sounds so corny, like put it into the universe and then it's going to come back to you. But it really, yeah, I mean, I turned 32 in May and I was like, I want to be in Vogue. And guess what? Next month in June, it happened twice, which was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I was on cloud 11 for like the entire month. I just like, yeah. And then,
Yeah.
and then June finished off with, one of my biggest cakes, to date, which was really beautiful. I think. And, growing up, seeing like looking at wedding cakes as a young child, just like the really delicate royal icing string work and like very, very, very like, you know, like think like royal wedding. I used to watch all these cake shows when I was younger. So that was the type of cake that like really got me into like, oh my God, like this is so beautiful. Like this is what I want to make. And, you know, no one really does these like very delicate string work anymore. It's very, very old school. You see piping, obviously, like the retro, like with like the big shell borders, and that's been very popular lately. Like they call it retro piped cakes, like very 90s Americana, whatever.
Mhm.
But it's like the really old world, like British French style royal icing wedding cakes. And this client was very, very lovely. That's what they wanted, and I was so excited to do that. So just like everything hand piped, like no molds, all royal icing, like
Oh my God.
size 1 tip, size 0 tip, like the thinnest possible. Yeah, many, many, many hours of piping. I had to pull an all-nighter, unfortunately, but
Yeah,
that sometimes that is the
you're
way it
committed
goes.
to your art. You're committed to your
Yes,
art.
very, very committed. Yeah, my sister especially, she does a lot of my admin stuff, which I'm very, very grateful for. My whole family is very, very supportive. I feel, you know, I'm the youngest of three. Both my parents, my siblings, just so, so great, but they all have helped me out in terms, you know, whether it's just emotional support, you know, loaning money if they,
Yeah,
not often, but you know, like here and
you got
there,
me started.
because
No, I guess.
New York City is expensive, and you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, very grateful. But you know, my sister always says like, you know, you're so committed. Like you just, it's just crazy how you pull these all-nighters. And she came in Saturday morning and she saw me like putting like handmade sequins on with tweezers like on this cake, and she was like, that's just like crazy, like just the intricate detail. But yeah, but you really, I like making cakes where you can like feel the detail, you know, like it may not, from afar you may not be able to see it, but I think when you can just feel like the thought and creativity that goes into it, and just personalization. And then when you go up close, you kind of see like, oh wow, like just these little, you know, these little pearls, or this little string work, it's floating, and just little flowers, you know, it really makes a difference. So
Like Disney, but for desserts.
yeah, yeah, I like that.
My children are young. They're 3 and 8, and I love how when we go to Disney, every single detail is taken care of for them to believe that magic is real. And then you're doing that, but with cakes, where you're looking at every single detail for people to have like a magical experience with Financial Times, their birthday, their weddings. That's amazing. That's really, it's rare. It's rare. Not a lot of people do that today.
Yeah, and the flavor, just as important, if not more important.
Yeah.
I love creating, again, love creating flavors. You know, this most recent wedding cake, they I made like a sticky toffee pudding inspired cake. So, you know, like a date sponge, sticky toffee, buttercream, and then I also made a creme anglaise, or a custard. And then the servers like served like a little spoonful of custard like onto the cake slice. Thought that
Yeah.
was like so fancy, so cool. Um, as well as a kind of like a rainbow cookie inspired cake. So, you know, like an orange, or sorry, an almond sponge with a little bit of orange zest in it, and you know, apricot jam, raspberry buttercream, a little thin layer of chocolate ganache. So has that like rainbow cookie inspired, you know,
Taste.
flavor profile. So
That's so fun. That's so fun. Wow. You're a unicorn. You're a unicorn.
Fun. It's really fun. Yeah. And you know what? And like making buttercream, it still amazes me. You know, I probably made buttercream more than anything else in my life, and just seeing the science of it, it really still like it's so amazing to me. It really never gets old. It's just the science of baking.
My daughter loves buttercream, and if I try to put it into anything, she just eats it, so it stops being an ingredient that we can use. That was supposed to be part of something, and she's like, "I think it's the main course. I'm done." Thank you. Takes it, goes to the other room to watch a movie, and I'm like, okay. So, how has being featured in Vogue, Good Morning America, all of these like huge media outlets, how has that shaped your creative direction, your business?
Well, so I think when I first started, I just said yes to everything. You know, I reached out to,
We all do.
I left my job, and then I just reached out to every single wedding planner that I could possibly think of and said, "Hi, I'm Daniel. I work for XYZ. I'm on my own now. Would love to set up a tasting. Like this is who I am, whatever." So I just, hustled, networked. I think with cakes or specialty events, I didn't realize obviously I knew it was important, but I didn't realize that like 80% of wedding cakes is like making connections with wedding planners mostly. Cause like that's who brings you business, obviously. So, just working well together, right? And obviously wedding planners have different types of clients and different types of budgets, and they do, whatever, they have their specialty, blah 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 blah. So when I first started, I just said yes to everything, right? Because you have to, right? Like this is my income, so I have to make money. But talking with different vendors, other people in the industry, they were like, this is obviously, that's normal. Like you have to just kind of take the work that you can get because you're starting out, but you should figure out what's going to set you apart. Like, what is your style? What's going to bring people to you? And I think that was a little hard for me to do because I've learned from so many different people that I just wanted to make sure I wasn't copying anybody else, but I kind of like brought a little bit of them with me along the way, which I feel.
Have you read the book Steal Like an Artist?
No. Oh, but doesn't the phrase like good artists borrow, great artists steal or something? Is that?
No. So what he says is like, if you copy one great person, people say, oh, he's the next Rembrandt. But if you look at like 50 great artists or even just 10 great artists and you take your favorite elements from each of them, then you are original and unique.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of
what you did. That's what you did. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could always tell when I see people create cakes, I could always tell where they worked. I look at them like, oh, okay, like they clearly worked out so-and-so, they clearly interned for so-and-so. Like it's very, very obvious.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure like that wasn't the case for me. But again, like super grateful for working for different people.
Being able to learn from all of them and pull from all of them.
Exactly. And like, things I like, things I didn't necessarily like or whatever, things that made sense for me. So, did that. And again, I always talk about this, but flavor, that's most important, the process of having a tasting. I talk with every couple beforehand. I kind of interview them essentially and say, like, where did you first meet? Where did you get proposed to? Your favorite restaurant? What do you order at dessert? What's your favorite bakery item? Do you like coffee or tea? What's your favorite cocktail, ice cream flavor, chocolate bar, whatever? I ask all these questions and then I create various flavor profiles for them to try at the tasting, and then they pick it from there. So I think that's always a very personalized thing. I don't think many people do like personal custom flavors. They kind of just have their menu, or they have like, here are sponges, here are buttercreams, like, mix and match. But that's just not, I like making composed bites because again, not every flavor is going to be like knock you in your face. Sometimes we'll add little subtle things or whatever. But I think it makes a big difference.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree. I mean, my God, the two that I tried were just was like, wow, this guy has emotional intelligence and a lot of thought that he's putting into this. So your career has so many amazing highlights. What were some of your favorite projects or assignments? You told us the Financial Times in London.
Yes, yeah. So I did this cake. It was for a wedding at the Plaza, and that was certainly a dream of mine to just make a cake
Like take at the Plaza.
For that particular venue, just because it's just a, you know, such an iconic New York venue, of course. And when I was interning at Ron, I did a delivery there, and just it really was like, wow, like this is why we work so hard on this. Like you see everything come together. You see the cake as like the centerpiece, and just the flowers, and you know. So I really was super excited to get there. And a few months later, I just got a DM from a friend of mine, and was like, oh my god, I just saw this cake in the Financial Times, and I was like, what? How? That doesn't make any sense. And then she sent me the article, and it was just like, the article was like weird and wonky cakes or something like that. And my cake was just one of them that they picked. And it was just so crazy. And like my name was in it. And yeah, that was just cool because it just happened out of nowhere. Like I just did not expect that at all. And, you know, the wedding planner never told me that he was getting interviewed for this, and he wasn't even sure what cake was going to get picked. It was just kind of a surprise. So that was pretty cool. I think, definitely.
Do that.
Sorry.
It's always fun when your friends do that. Like I didn't know my book had hit number 2 bestseller in the US, and one of my friends messaged me while I was in meetings and congratulated me on being a #2 bestseller in the US. Like, what are you talking about? And then he was like, wow, how did I know this before you?
Yeah, no, it's wild.
It's always
even like the most recent Vogue article. So I did the cake for Alex Soros and Uma Abedin, and their wedding cake, which was really cool. You know, I guess Anna Wintour / the events team at Vogue recommended me to the caterer, and then the caterer called me and said, like, you know, we're doing cake for we're doing Alex Soros and Uma's wedding, so, you know, you recommended to do the cake. Let's talk about it, whatever. So, you know, I mean, I had a feeling it would probably get a feature in Vogue, but I have no idea, you know, like they could just not mention the cake. It's a small piece of a wedding, and like I'm self-aware enough to know that, like, yes, I think the cake is the most important part, but it's not to everybody, and that's fine. But I remember my friend texted me the article before I even saw it, because I was like kind of looking all day, and Vogue, different publications have posted just their wedding, you know, but not like a really like deep dive into it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, I guess that's it. That's fine. Like, you know, so excited. I was just happy to be part of it. Like, what an honor. And then my friend texted me like this big article, and I saw, you know, my name and the cake, and I was like, oh my god, like I remember I just like I ran out of my bedroom. My roommate was on the couch, and I just screamed like, I'm in Vogue, and then I just like ran outside and just like called my mom, called my sister, called my family, and just like ran around the neighborhood like saying like I'm in Vogue, and like played Vogue by Madonna. It was very stupid, but just like very, very exciting. So that was definitely a huge highlight for sure, to say the least.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's
incredible. And then for cookies, definitely the GMA thing was very cool, because that was a very organic way. You know, I mentioned before, it's all about making connections, networking.
It is.
You know, like,
it is.
I grew up like very middle class. You know, like I don't have these like this circle of wealthy friends or whatever, but I know that New York City is, you know, all these people from different places and different whatever. So yeah, and like, you know, I'm not saying I'm trying, you know, I'm a social climber by any means, but, you know, like obviously I create things that different, you know, people can that people want, you know, like for the weddings. Like it's one event, right? So I'm always just trying to network, just meet people. I'm probably overly friendly to people, and I just love you know, and my go-to is like, oh, like I love like, oh, here's a cookie. Oh, like I'd love to bake for you sometime or whatever. You know, it's very easy to just like give someone a cookie or show someone a cake.
I think there's a huge difference between a social climber I tie to being someone who's not necessarily looking for a way to make themselves valuable or unique within society. They're looking for a way to hurt and destroy other people while they further their own brand. And you don't necessarily need to hurt or destroy anyone to further your own brand. You actually further your own brand at a much faster rate when you look at ways to add value and create unique experiences for people. So what you're doing, I would never even come close to calling that social climbing. I would say what you're doing is you're building a brand, which is a very noble, and you're doing it in a very noble way, because you're you're taking into account people's emotions, their desires, things that they want to experience, and you're creating that for them. And that's a very noble thing to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And yeah, so I made this cake for this guy named Will, and he is a news anchor on Good Morning America. Like his boyfriend reached out to me because a wedding planner friend of mine, again, connection. So down the line, I get a call from this guy named Jason. Can you make a cake for my boyfriend, like celebrating this, blah blah blah.
How cute.
And then I think so. Last year, around the holidays, I gave boxes of cookies to a lot of people, just wedding planners I worked with, some of my favorite clients that really made an impact on me, or really whatever, like just had a special thing, or wedding planners I want to work with, whatever. Just gave out a lot of cookies. So obviously gave cookies to them because they were just super sweet and whatever. And they were like, oh my God, these cookies, like, wow, I can't even like this is crap. Like I can't get over it. So then,
like what I did with Gligor, I was like, this is an experience.
Yes, yeah, yeah, essentially. So then the Oscars roll around after Valentine's Day, right? Yeah. So he had bought cookies for Valentine's Day, and then he was like, oh my God, these cookies, like you're just knocking out of the park. And then I just happened to bring up like, oh, like I'll have to bake you my Blockbuster cookie. It's like one of my favorites, like, popcorn. And again, like just like I, offered like to give him a sample, right? Like it's just a cookie. It's like, didn't say like, oh, please buy this cookie, whatever. And he was like, wait a minute, the Oscars are coming up. This would be a really could we feature your cookie on Good Morning America? And I was like, oh my God, like I'd be honored. Like, wow, like what do you need from me? Like whatever it is, like, yes. So I gave him cookies like in 2 days, like 2 days later, I gave him a 6-pack of Blockbuster cookies, and then it was featured that weekend and had a slew of orders. Very overwhelming because of course I had no cookie boxes left and I had to like buy more. So I had to kind of do like 2 rounds of shipping, and and then, finally like updated my website, updated my branding a little bit. I think we all kind of do that from time to time, like as we grow, as our...
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. My book hit bestseller in March, and I forgot it's still not on the main website. Like, because you get so focused on your craft, you get so focused on having fun, achieving these different things. You're like, I don't want to have to go update these websites and update these facts and figures places. Yeah, it's when you're a creator and an innovator, you want to be creating and innovating. You don't want to have to constantly be updating everyone on what you just created and innovated. And that's why you usually have like the marketing team that's doing that for you. But yeah, so I get it. Yeah, so you had to update your website. I have to update mine. We'll hold each other
and I hate technology. I'm really bad at it. I'm really bad at websites. I'm bad at Instagram and whatever. I just want to bake and take pictures of them and then move on to the next one. But a good friend of mine was like, yeah, like I think, like with all due respect, your work is so beautiful, but looking at your website, if you told me that you made this, it does not reflect on our website. Like we have to kind of like, up your website a little bit, up your Instagram, like make it a little more luxury, because I would never believe that you make these like insane wedding cakes and whatever.
It's like once a quarter you have to go in and update.
Totally. And he was right. Like my website was just very basic, very, kind of more fun. Like I was, as my friend would say, like, yeah, like you look very like, you're very like Hell's Kitchen baker, but like you make these cakes that are in vogue. Like you can't really be both. Like you have to
Yeah,
pick
you do have
one.
to commit to one brand.
Yeah, and like obviously you should do this one because like that makes more money. And I'm like, no, you're right. Like you're right. So I had to delete a lot of pictures.
Everyone goes, what do we call it? I'm Jewish and we call it the come to Jesus moment. Like, okay, yeah, everyone has that like personal branding come to Jesus moment. Like I will go to investor meetings and I'm serious. I'm in a blazer. I have like the crazy, like Elizabeth the 14th bun, whatever, that fit the uniform, fit the role, go into the meeting, be professional. And then I will go with my friends, put on a black baseball cap, high top sneakers, and we will go and play at the arcade. Like, so
Exactly.
you have to have that. Yeah, you have to have that balance.
You have to have a character, which I know sounds so stupid, but like that really is it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never really thought of it as that way. But in the wedding industry, events industry, like, we all have like a character that we're playing and that we're portraying to our clients, and they want to root, like they want to work with us because they want to root for us. They want to give us business because they like us, right? Like there's a million cake people out there, right? Like, but why am I special? Like, what am I going to give to the client? And that's what I have to let the client know. Like, you want to go to me because I'm doing this for you. I'm giving XYZ that you're not going to get from these people or whatever.
And people want to know that you will make sacrifices for them to make them feel more comfortable. So when you step into that character, like there's this whole thing where people are like, well, I'm not being authentic if I wear a suit. I'm like, no, it's not about authenticity. It's about telling them, look, I will do things that are uncomfortable for me in order to serve you with your needs as a client better. So is this suit comfortable? No. Am I going to put it on because it makes you feel more comfortable and increases your like trust in me? Yes. So it's just one of the tiny things that we do where we shave off who we are momentarily in order to serve our clients better, because our passion is our work and what we're doing. And if we need to wear a suit in order to get someone to sign the contract so that we can do what we're best at and complete and produce our art, so be it. And then there are people who come in and they'll say, for example, I have a real estate investment opportunity and the guy dressed appropriately for the meeting. And I told him, we don't want any development projects. We want value add projects. Completely ignored me, gave me development projects. I was like, if you can't hear what I'm saying with like a basic request, working with you is going to be hell. Like, so you come in and you communicate through every single step in your process that you are acutely aware of who they are, what they want, you see them, you hear them, and they can trust you.
Yes.
That's rare. There are a lot of talented people out there who will not listen to the customers and see them, hear them, and give them what they want. And just by doing those simple things, you literally outperform 90% of the market.
Yeah. And plus, especially with weddings, you're dealing with wedding planners, brides, grooms, mothers, fathers,
a lot of people, a lot of
people. And, obviously I want to make the couple happy, whoever's getting married, like that's first and foremost, but they're probably not paying for it. So I also have to make the parents happy and like, say like, is this worth my money? Like, is this worth,
you have to navigate
exactly. And then I also want to make the wedding planner happy by like, am I good to work with? Like, am I making you look good because you brought me to these people? I want to make sure you're happy and you give, we work together again. And
yes, I am always, yes, that's a huge, I know someone probably put that idea in your mind that it's social climbing. No, that's just like smart business and respect. When someone makes an intro for me, I make sure that I always speak of them extremely high. They're the best person, the smartest person, whenever I'm with the people that they introduced me to. That's just best business practices.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
but it feels, I will say though, it feels very just, kind of come full circle, like just, interning for Ron, and then like now kind of in the same, I don't want to say category, but like we're both doing these big cakes, and it's just, I don't know, it's just really crazy that, you know, since the pandemic, a lot of things have changed with, you know, people working and different places have closed down, and there aren't a ton of, you know, these cake designers left in the city that do this level of work. So it feels very, yeah, I don't know, just really cool to be in the space now. And I feel like it, you know, because you're probably asking, like, oh, like, why did it take you so long to go on your own, right? Like, I just wanted to learn as much as
When you're
possible.
ready. You have
Yeah,
to go when
and
you're ready.
exactly. But I really do feel like the timing was so, like, so perfect. You know, an old boss of mine closed down her business, so I kind of absorbed a lot of her clients in my first fall, like my fall wedding season. Another old boss moved away, so she sold me some big equipment for cake, and then also a space opened up, kitchen space, because kitchen space is very expensive to rent in New York City. So now I have like a shared kitchen space. So it really just worked, you know, and I really cannot be more grateful for the people I've met and the people that supported me along the way. And yeah, and I feel like the fact that this is only, you know, 1 year in, I feel like, you know, wow, I just like, this is, you know, it's only going up from here, I guess.
Yeah, but gratitude, humility, and respect just get you so far. A talent only gets you so far. When you're showing respect to the clients, to your investors, whoever you're moving the needle with, when you're showing gratitude towards those who made you the introductions, there are so few people that embody those three simple things, and they think that their talent should do everything for them. But without the humility, the respect, and the gratitude, every door is going to close for you. So you literally learned how to embody the full package, and that's why you are where you are.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I want to point that I like this little thing. Whenever I make a cake for someone, or we'll say wedding cake, so, you know, traditionally, like, they take the top tier home and then they box it up, whatever. But, you know, sometimes like people forget it, or it's thrown away, or like, oh, I don't have a box for it. It's like, how am I going to wrap it up? So to eliminate all of that confusion and pandemonium, I make a separate top tier. I box it up. I give instructions. It's like, it's in a bow. I give instructions, like reserving, whatever. And then I also write a thank you card, because I grew up, my parents always taught me, write thank you cards, handwritten. And I know it's so corny, but like, it really goes a long way.
I do the same.
It goes such a long way. I love it, receiving a card. I have
Yep.
one of my best friends. She'll just like write cards, like, you know, like every season, you know, like, oh, like a fall card, and just like, oh, like, I hope your fall is going well, like spooky season, like,
Oh, fun.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I like look forward to these cards. They're so, anyway.
I
But
used to do it with my grandmother before she passed. Like, yeah.
yeah, and I just love handwritten cards. They just go a very long way. And so I find it important because, again, like, I'm so appreciative, like, you trusted me to be a part, to just be a small part of your most special day of your life. You know, hopefully you only have one wedding, you know, fingers crossed. Sometimes it doesn't, but regardless, it's a big day. It is a huge day in your life. And I really do, like, just sometimes, like, have to, like, wow, like, this person, this complete stranger is, you know, trusting me to make their wedding cake, like feed like 200 people of their closest friends, and like make a centerpiece, and, you know, and spend money on that. And I just think it's so crazy sometimes that, you know, yeah. So I really just have to I always thank the client, the couple, whatever, just, you know, thank you for having me be a part of it. It was such an honor, and congratulations, and, you know, enjoy your cake. And, you know,
Oh.
yeah. So I think, I don't know. I don't want, yeah, I just want to feel like gratuitous. And I think that's important.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's rare today, so it differentiates you quickly. So people who are wanting to get in touch with you, move forward with you, I know you are geographically confined to just serving those in New York City, right?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously, like, my kitchen space, I'm in New York City, but, you know, I have an amazing delivery team. They can deliver anywhere. I've made cakes abroad before, so if
You
there's a
have?
will, there's a way. Yes, I went to Iceland to make a cake for one of my best friend's wedding from school. Yeah, so obviously with cakes, it is dependent on the event, but cakes can travel. I can travel. But yes, just reach out to me via email. You can find my website, my Instagram. It's just hello@danielcarno.com. And for cookies, I'm hoping to get back into stores, markets like Butterfield's. But I also do cookie drops, a few times a year, and you'll see that on Instagram. And if you subscribe, you'll be the first to know when the cookie drop is happening.
What is a cookie drop?
A cookie drop is essentially, because I'm on a retail space, right? So during the holidays, it's like, okay, holiday cookies on sale or holiday cookies going on sale. So let's just say, Black Friday, day of Thanksgiving, they go on sale, and then you order, and then they'll ship out to you December 12th or whatever. Like there'll be like different shipping dates.
Okay.
And you choose what shipping date. So it gives me time to make all the dough. Like, okay, I have 50 orders. I have to make this many cookies. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, because again, I'm out of retail space, so I can't just have cookies every day and people order. But
yeah,
but once I bake them, they ship out the next day, so they're fresh.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Okay, and then we will include ways for people to get in touch with you on the show notes and on your webpage. And you're going to put those links into the Google Drive doc?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have anything else you want to say?
Man, I'm trying to think.
Philosophy, we got into art, we got into everything.
I know. I feel like, well, a famous person once said, I believe it was, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so mad if I get this wrong. I think it was Julia Childs. A party without a cake is just a meeting. So eat more cake.
Oh my God, I love that. I am so using that from now on. A party without a cake.
Like embarrassingly, it's either Julia Child, Anna Gardner, or Martha Stewart. It's one of those three people, but I think it's Julia Childs.
Okay, we'll credit it to her.
I hope I got that right. But I do love that quote.
That is a very fun quote. That is a very fun quote. So now I'm going to bring a cake to my board meetings and tell them it's not a meeting, it's a party.
Yes. Party without a cake is just a meeting. Yes, Julia Childs. So eat more cake.
More cake.
Cake is delicious.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today for the episode, and thank you, Gligor, for insisting that he come on the show. This was a total fun break from our more serious real estate investment discussions that we usually have. So if anyone is wanting to get in touch, order a cake, order cookies, you will go to Daniel's website. Do you prefer to be called Daniel or Danny?
Daniel. Daniel's good. Yeah.
My son is Daniel. That's why I go with Daniel. Yeah. You can go to Daniel's page on 9x90 to see where you can contact him, and then you can place orders through his website, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you back online next time. Bye.